We look into the letter to the Hebrews, and from the second chapter, we'll find our section of verses number 5 through 12. This is where we will hear that one classic verse about Jesus being the pioneer of our faith. Now, God did not subject the coming world about which we are speaking to angels, but someone has testified somewhere, what are human beings that you are mindful of them, or mortals that you care for them? You have made them for a little while lower than the angels. You have crowned them with glory and honor, subjecting all things under their feet. Now, in subjecting all things to them, God left nothing outside their control. As it is, we do not yet see everything in subjection to them. But we do see Jesus, who for a little while was made lower than the angels, now crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of his death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. It was fitting that God, for whom and through whom all things exist, in bringing many children to glory, should make the pioneer of their salvation perfect through their sufferings. For the one who sanctifies and those who are sanctified all have one Father. For this reason, Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers and sisters, saying, I will proclaim your name to my brothers and sisters. In the midst of the congregation, I will praise you. And again, I will put my trust in him. This morning, we take a look at Pioneer Wagons. The computer game Oregon Trail helps us talk about Pioneer Wagons. Since 1971, a lot of us learned about Pioneer Wagons from this game. The year 2021 was the 50th anniversary of the Oregon Trail educational game. Over 65 million copies have been sold. Choosing the right wagon was a big deal in this game. Do you choose a Conestoga wagon or a farm wagon? The Conestoga wagon was invented to deliver loads around the Conestoga River in Pennsylvania. It was a pricier, heavier, boat-shaped wagon. It was usually pulled by Conestoga horses. The farm wagon was cheaper, lighter, and square-shaped. The farm wagon was pulled by oxen. With the Conestoga wagon, the horses would require more rest and more hay. With the farm wagon, the oxen could just be turned out to graze at night, and they would usually be fine. In the Oregon Trail game, decisions made in Independence, Missouri, could spell success or failure long before reaching Oregon. In the book of Hebrews, Paul declares Jesus is the pioneer of our faith. Just as there were critical choices on the Oregon Trail, there are crucial spiritual choices on Jesus' Pioneer Trail. One major decision for a pioneer: do we go it alone? Do we go west without a wagon train? Going it alone can go faster. However, there's a major risk of getting attacked and picked off by robbers and renegades. However, going it alone meant you had no one to pull you across the rivers, no one to help you put on a wagon wheel. There was no scout or wagon master to show the way. With the wagon train, you would go at the pace of the slowest wagon, but you would have a scout and a wagon master. There would be neighbors to help with the rivers and broken wagon wheels. There would be wagons to circle if robbers or renegades showed up. On the spiritual pioneer trail, the wagon train provides a good metaphor in Jesus as the pioneer of our faith. With Jesus as our wagon master and scout, he has been over this road already. He knows the trail as the pioneer of our faith. Jesus has been to the cross, the tomb, and made it to the glorious Easter morning. Jesus knows where the promised land is located. Also, when we choose to have Jesus be our wagon master, we get the wagon train as well. Paul talks about this when he uses the term the great congregation. The great congregation is none other than the church, of course. The great congregation, it's like the other wagons in the wagon train. The congregation provides companionship. The congregation provides safety in numbers. There are other wagons, so to speak, who can circle up and be there with us, because we know there are dark forces in life that act like robbers and renegades. There are forces and people who want to prevent us from reaching the promised land. The great congregation can also help us with supplies and repairs. The church provides us with things like spiritual friendships, small groups, prayer chains, hugs, and prayers when we need building up. The church provides spiritual support when our souls need repairs. There's also another set of choices to make. Spiritual travelers need to choose their drive system. Will we choose horses or oxen? When we choose horses or oxen, we also have to choose a yoke to go with our wagon. For us in Christianity, we already have a yoke provided for us. Do we remember when Jesus said, "My yoke is easy, my burden is light"? Jesus was a carpenter. It was part of his job description to make wagon yokes for his neighbors. When Jesus left carpentry to become our pioneer of faith, he started making a new kind of yoke. The yoke of Christ can be summed up in our great commandments: love God and love your neighbor as yourself. These are the two sections of Jesus' yoke. Loving God is built on the hope that one day we will reach the promised land and we will celebrate having made it safely through this trail of life. Loving neighbor is the drive system for the great congregation. As we love one another, we make the great congregation greater and greater. We build each other up with our love. Yes, we help each other with the repairs, the rivers, the robbers, and the spiritual, emotional support that we need. So we might say that when we make choices about our spiritual journey, we are standing at our own Independence, Missouri. We are independent people. We have the freedom to choose our wagon master. When we choose Jesus to be our wagon master, we choose faith, hope, and love. Faith means we trust Jesus as our leader. Hope means we look forward to the promised land. And love, that's the driving force that will get us there. With Jesus, with the great congregation, with each other. Amen.